Donald Trump has just approved a nuclear deal with Saudi Arabia, and it skips the one safeguard that has stopped nations from building bombs for decades. No additional protocol, no snap inspections, no firm ban on enrichment. So Saudi Arabia could soon spin centrifuges on its own soil with American technology and barely any international eyes watching. This is not how nuclear deals are supposed to work. So why did Washington remove the guardrails? Why now in the middle of a live Iran standoff? And what happens in a region which is already on edge once Riyadh gets a legal path to the bomb? Let's assess what this deal in its present form could trigger in an already troubled West Asia. "30 years. That is how long this nuclear pact between the United States and Saudi Arabia is set to run. According to reports, Trump has approved what is called a 1-2-3 agreement, the legal basis for any US civil nuclear cooperation with another country. On paper, this is about building Saudi Arabia's first nuclear power plants. American companies get billions of dollars in contracts, Riyadh gets modern reactors. But here is the catch. CNN reports the draft deal does not require Saudi Arabia to sign the additional protocol. That is the enhanced agreement with the IAEA, the UN's nuclear watchdog, that allows snap inspections at undeclared sites. Without it, the nuclear regulator loses its sharpest tool for catching a secret weapons program before it grows too far. And it goes further. The deal leaves the door open for enrichment and even plutonium reprocessing on Saudi soil once a joint US-Saudi study clears it. One clause even allows American firms to build the enrichment plant itself inside the kingdom. The deal is also a sharp break from previous American policy. The Biden administration had linked civil nuclear cooperation with Saudi Arabia to a broader package involving normalization of ties between Saudi Arabia and Israel. Trump has reportedly even removed that condition. Instead, the administration has prioritized strategic competition with China and Russia, commercial opportunities for American companies, and stronger bilateral ties with Riyadh. These are the three things that Trump has prioritized in this agreement. Now compare that to the UAE. When Washington signed a similar deal with Abu Dhabi in 2009, the UAE agreed to permanently give up enrichment. Saudi Arabia has just got the opposite deal. So why is this happening now? The deal has been sitting on Trump's desk since talks concluded in October last year. So why sign it now? 2 words: Iran war. CNN quoted sources who said that the ongoing conflict with Iran is exactly why this has been delayed and also why it may finally be moving. Trump has said that the strikes on Iran were partly to stop Tehran from enriching uranium toward a bomb. Signing off on Saudi enrichment rights in the same breath is an awkward optics problem, to put it mildly. But Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has made his position clear for years. If Iran gets the bomb, Saudi Arabia will match it. That is not a threat from some analyst. That is what the Crown Prince said himself on record. So Riyadh has leverage. A nuclear-capable Iran next door gives Saudi Arabia every justification it needs to demand the same rights. And Trump, looking for deals worth billions for American industry and looking to keep Riyadh firmly on his side, appears willing to grant them. Here is one question that everyone has in mind. Can a country get a nuclear bomb by simply enriching the uranium? Well, the short answer is yes, but the longer answer is more complicated. Uranium enrichment itself is not illegal. Many countries enrich uranium for civilian nuclear reactors. Nuclear fuel typically requires enrichment levels of around 3 to 5%. A nuclear weapon requires uranium enriched to 90%. The technology, however, is largely the same. The same centrifuges that produce low enriched uranium can eventually produce weapons grade material if political decisions change and safeguards fail. And that is why enrichment is often described as the most sensitive stage of the nuclear fuel cycle. This agreement gives Saudi Arabia access to technology that significantly shortens the path if and when the kingdom ever decides to cross that line. For India and for the wider region, this changes the nuclear map in West Asia. Iran is racing towards weapons capability. Saudi Arabia now has a legal, American-backed route to the same capability, minus the toughest oversight, mind you. Pakistan is already nuclear armed and has explicitly linked its arsenal to Saudi's defense. That is, three nuclear capable or nuclear adjacent powers within touching distance of India's western borders. Delhi has spent decades managing a two-front nuclear neighborhood with China and Pakistan. A nuclear hedging Saudi Arabia, backed by Washington's own technology, adds a new and unpredictable variable to that calculus. Sure, the US Congress could still push back. Lawmakers can file a resolution to block the agreement, and some already have concerns on record. But if this deal goes through as drafted, the Middle East gets a new nuclear threshold state, and the rulebook that was supposed to prevent it just got rewritten by the very country that wrote that book in the first place. What this deal does is change the strategic equation. It lowers one important barrier by accepting domestic enrichment under a less stringent inspection framework than many experts want. In nuclear diplomacy, capability matters almost as much as intent, and intentions can change far faster than infrastructure. That is why this agreement is being called one of the most consequential nuclear policy decisions in years. The real question is no longer whether Saudi Arabia wants civilian nuclear technology. It is whether the Middle East has just entered a new era where every major regional power will insist on mastering the full nuclear fuel cycle. Because history has shown one uncomfortable truth. Once one country gets closer to the nuclear threshold, its rivals rarely stand still. This is Times Access, where global stories meet India's perspective. Click on the bell icon to subscribe, because the next big global shift will have India at its center.